And we are live. What's going on, everybody? How are you guys doing today? I'm back from Joe Fest. It was a blast. I had a really, really great time, but I'm happy to be home. Right back in it, right back to work with Animal Warriors of the Kingdom stuff. Right back to work with some other stuff. I'm sort of excited to say that I've got some other stuff going on too. More news on that. As there's more news to share, but Joe Fest was fun. Joe Fest was tiring. I mean, it's a weekend. It's only one weekend, and you think like, oh, it's cool. You go on a vacation or whatever, but it's a long day, all day. So I flew to Atlanta. I drove from Atlanta to Augusta, which is about 2.5 hours. Got there once the tables had already been set up, so I kind of cheated a little bit. I got there once the table had been set up, checked out the table, checked out the venue, checked in with Jason and Derek and Sequoia, who were working at the table with me, or I was working at the table with them. I don't know how you want to sort of say that, but saw a couple people that I know, people that I'd sort of, I chat with all the time. I'd never met in person, so it was really, really cool to get to hang out with a bunch of people. And then we had preview night. So on Friday night, they opened up the floor to guests for 2 hours, I think 2 hours or 3 hours, something like that, so that people can kind of get their first purchases in, or get an idea of what the table looks like, and tables look like. And so that was fun. So that was Friday night, and then grabbed some dinner. I was exhausted at that point, so I thought, you know what, I think we're just gonna have an easy night. We'll just have a quiet night. We did, but what we ended up doing was actually hanging out with the guys from Creative Beast Studio. David had a Nintendo emulator in his room, and we just went and played video games, hung out, and talked toys. It was a lot of fun. Saturday, was a full day at the con, full day on the floor. We didn't know, or we weren't quite aware that there was like an early bird hour. So the floors opened at 9 for early bird, and then 10 a.m. for everybody else. And we thought it opened at 10. So we got down to the floor. I think we got down to the floor at about 20 after 9. So we were a little bit late there, but another really, really great day. That was a full day, 9 to 4 o'clock, I believe. So it was a full shift, lots of fun, talking to people about Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, talking about the new figures, the Kickstarter, the backer kit, having people come to the table that had never seen the line before, which is also really, really cool and really, really fun. It's always interesting to meet new people and introduce them to the line. People that know nothing about the lore, people that really know nothing about the company, about the Kickstarter. We had a lot of people looking at the table that had all the paint masters on it and saying, how do I get this figure or that figure? And we had to explain that, we had a Kickstarter that was in a backer kit, that it won't be up for retail pre-orders um, yet. But yeah, and now I'm working on getting them up for retail pre-order. So that's no sleep for the wicked, I guess, is sort of the way that goes. Um, but it was really really cool to get to chat with other creators, other people that were at Joe Fest. Delta 17 was sort of right across from us in a way. So it was really really cool to see them basically at their first show with figures in hand. Creative B Studio was opposite us, so we got to kind of we were hanging out, interacting with them. On the other side was Sergeant Slaughter. He was right there all day. We were just watching people get put in the Cobra clutch, person after person after person, which was kind of funny. And Derek actually on Sunday afternoon, Derek sort of just shouted over like to Slaughter and popped over and actually got his picture taken with the Sarge. So that was pretty cool. Red Fire. Did Seth Green buy anything? We actually gave them a couple things. So Seth Green came by the table and we gave him the comic book and we gave him a couple figures, and then he had two other people that were with him, and they each got a figure. That was on Saturday. They actually came back on Sunday to tell us how much they enjoyed the figures. I don't recall if they bought anything more on Sunday, but that was really really cool. Pixel Dan and Dan Larson from Secret Galaxy, Toy Galaxy, Secret Galaxy. What's the channel called now? Secret Galaxy. We're at the show on Saturday, and it was good to get to chat with those guys. Um, what else? The Skeletron was there with the production model of the Skeletron Robo Skull. It was amazing. That thing looks so good. They had a bunch of the figures. Marauders was there with their lines. Um, Fresh Monkey Fiction / Big Bad Toy Store / a couple of those other companies that are associated were all there. They've got some really really cool stuff in the works. That Monster Force stuff looks fantastic. And some of the figures that they're doing, they've released and sort of put up pre-orders for I think they call it season 1 and season 2 are great, but some of the stuff that they've got going forward is even better. The werewolf, the Sasquatch, the Yeti, on and on and on. Like they've got some really really cool stuff. But beyond that, they're doing other lines, like all these new different little lines. So they've got a military line, and they've got Shadows of the Crimson Moon, and they've got they're doing cops. They're doing a 6-inch scaled version of cops, and they had a figure there. What else? It was really cool to hang out, chat with Arlen and Ari. Arlen is one of the sculptor extraordinaire. Does a ton of sculpting for a bunch of different brands, but he was there with his sort of newest creation, which is Spacemen and Zombies, which looks really really fun. And he's actually going to be doing him and his brother recorded a record which is kind of like the soundtrack for that. They're going to do a comic book, so just a really really cool line conceptually, that I'm excited about. It has, for me, it has sort of that 1960s 1970s spaceman vibe, the old B movies of sort of astronauts landing on an unknown world kind of thing. Like it just has a really really cool vibe to it. So I was excited about that. Tons of really great vendors as well. Tons of great vendors selling GI Joe, selling just about anything. There was some guys that just did vintage, some guys that just did new stuff. There was guys that just did custom stuff. So it was just a really really fun show. It great energy. And just a good weekend. Like it was just a really really fun weekend. Speaking moistly, Buck Rogers vibes. Yeah, sort of, but less but more like spaceship, spacesuit, like astronaut, if that makes sense. Here, hold on. Let me see if I can find. For anybody that hasn't seen it, let me see if I can find a picture of what I'm talking about. Yeah, so this is what he had on the table at Joe Fest. Let me see if it'll work. Let me see if I can share this. Now, of course, it's gonna be slow. It's gonna be a pain in the butt because it's StreamYard and they don't like me for some reason. Hold on one sec. Where'd it go? No, of course it doesn't want to work. Why would it? Which is gonna make for a short episode because the other visuals that I would have wanted are not gonna work either. I don't think if this doesn't. Man, I should just give up on this stuff. Anyway, you can check it out on Arlen's Instagram. So Arlen Pelletier, Parlen. Wait, I think I could put a link in the chat. At least I can do that. So you guys can just check it out. Check out Arlen's stuff. But it was actually pretty cool because Arlen lives on Vancouver Island, and I had never met Arlen before. I didn't know what he looked like or anything like that. So we were actually on the same flight from Calgary to Atlanta, and then met at the show, and then ended up being on the same flight from Atlanta back to Calgary. And so I hung out with them in the airport, and it was just really really fun and really really cool. Talking toys, talking about the projects that he's done, projects that he's working on, projects that he wants to do. For anybody that's not familiar with Arlen, you may have seen his Naughty or Nice line that Big Bad Toy Store is doing, the Santa line, which is really really cool with the reindeer, and then the Naughty or Nice Halloween stuff that goes with that. So he's got some really really cool stuff, and he's got some cool ideas for future lines that he wants to do. So it was cool to get to hang out with him and chat. Speaking mostly, I live on Vancouver Island, but not as cool. Why do you say that? What, you're assuming Arlen's cool? No, he's a cool guy. It's fun to hang out with. Just always fun to chat with toy collectors, and then get to sort of geek out a little bit. If you go through what he's sculpted and sort of see some stuff, he sculpted a bunch of classified stuff, a bunch of Marvel Legends stuff, among other things. But he's very much involved with Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. So that was sort of the connection there. So it's just exciting. It's exciting to see creators creating, you know. And there was a lot of that this weekend. There was a lot of people that were sort of doing their own toy lines. Fist was there, which, if you're not familiar with them, they have sort of orcs in like military. I don't know the story that well. I think they have issue one of the comic book is out or coming out, so I'm definitely going to check that out. Delta 17, as I already mentioned, was there, but they had their comic book, they had their figures, they had their Wave 1.5 robot. If you haven't checked that out, definitely check that out. And just talking about what they plan to do next, what they want to do in the future, and stuff like that. It's just very very exciting. And it was just it's a good venue. It's a very big venue. There was a lot of great panels. There was just a lot of really cool people. And if you ever get the chance, it's definitely worth going. And whether it's to Joe Fest or Toylanta or Legion's Con or whatever con it is, right? I can't speak to the ones that I haven't been to, but I sort of get the idea that, getting to these cons, even if you don't intend to buy anything, even if you don't need to buy anything, it's just cool to see stuff, meet new people, and then just hang out after. We played video games with the Creative Beast guys on Friday till like 1 in the morning. Then I had to get up and do the show. Saturday night, I was up till I think 3 o'clock in the morning or something like that, just hanging out in the hotel lobby, just chatting and hanging out and talking toys with people, and not talking toys. I mean, talking about other stuff too, right? You don't always get the opportunity to see these people face to face, and sometimes the venue where you're at sort of dictates um how much you get to talk to people. Um and it doesn't always translate to like deep conversations, right? Sometimes you just talk about toys, and you don't always get to talk about things that you might want to get to talk about, or things that would just sort of come up naturally if you met somebody, out and about. So just really, really cool to get to have conversations, to get to know people a little bit better. Um, but yeah. That was Joe Fest. I'm not going to go on about Joe Fest. There's people that have Joe Fest videos. Like, check out Ken Toy Connections Joe Fest video. If you want to sort of get a better idea, a broader idea of what it was like, and who was there and all that kind of stuff, you can go on Instagram and just put in hashtag Joe Fest 2024. You can go in YouTube in the search bar and just put Joe Fest 2024. Um, but needless to say, it was fun. It was just a good time, and well worth the trip. Um, yeah, I got a lot of stuff. I got a lot of stuff. Shout out to Terrence who brought me a whole bunch of stuff. There was a few people that had stuff for me. U.S. based friends of mine that basically mailed everything to Terrence, and then Terrence brought it to me at the hotel, and he had a whole basically a whole like wagon full of stuff. I had a full size suitcase full of toys, like the biggest, standard size suitcase you can get. I had one of those absolutely packed full of toys. I had a carry on luggage that was packed with toys, and then I had my little backpack with, like, my iPad and my book for the plane ride, and I had to check all these toys. Just about everything made it just about fully intact. So that was really, really fun to sort of like, be anxious that anything that this stuff would even make it home, let alone not be crushed. But like, I got an Origin Snake Mountain. I got a whole bunch of Origin figures, a whole bunch of Masterverse figures. I got I picked up at the show. I picked up a couple of the Wave 4 Animal Warriors of the Kingdom figures. They look fantastic. They are really, really cool. These were sort of the first off the production line. They got air freighted out to us just to basically test, make sure everything was good. The production run on those should be available very, very soon. They are available for pre-order on spirotoys.com, as is Wave 5. So Wave 5 is now up for pre-order on the Spiro Toys website. So you can go get those if you want. Wave 5 should be here before too long, believe it or not. Just because there's not much that wasn't already tooled. And of course, visuals aren't going to work, so that doesn't can't show you that. But what else? What else? What else? Um, all right. Well, I'll just sit and chat since I can't show you visuals. We'll just talk about things, and I won't even bother trying to get the visuals to work. So feel free to be more involved in the chat, because I can kind of focus on the chat more, because I'm not doing visual stuff. Speaking Moistly says AWOC and Jada Street Fighter are the best dollies on the market. I fell down that rabbit hole too. The Jada Street Fighter stuff is really, really cool. These figures pose so well. The articulation is good. The articulation feels like the AWOC stuff, so it feels very, very familiar, and they're just fun to pose. I actually picked up Dalsim. I got back on Monday, and then went to work Tuesday, and then like Tuesday I picked up Dawson. So still need M Bison. I still need to pick up that M Bison. I haven't seen it in store yet. I'm actually gonna go check out Walmart either this afternoon or tomorrow, see if I can find him. But so far, no luck. but they are looking phenomenal. Very, very good. The other thing that I picked up that I was really, really excited to pick up because I didn't think I was going to be able to get them. My understanding was that they weren't ready in time and they weren't going to make it to Joe Fest. They had intentions of having them there, but then they didn't get them in time. But what they meant was they didn't get the full shipment in time to start shipping them out before Joe Fest. But the Creative Beast Studios had the Beasts of the Mesozoic, uh, Aquilabator giganticus and Utah Raptor something. I can't remember the second part. I was so excited to get these. These are the Beasts of the Mesozoic colorways for two. Oh, there now it comes up. Of course it does. Um, Stop sharing. Let's just get rid of that. Let's just assume that I'm not going to use that. These things are amazing, super, super fun dinos, and I am really excited to get the Cyberzoic versions of both of these. I prefer the Cyberzoic colorway of the Aquilabator, but I prefer this colorway of the Utah Raptor. I'm getting these ones and the Cyberzoic ones. I ordered an extra set of armor to go on these guys. So the armor, they're saying they should have the armor or wave one, wave A, I think they've actually called it, will be out this year. So I'm really, really excited to be getting those. They're just really, really fun. If you're into dinos, I would strongly recommend you pick up, a couple of the Creative Beast dinos. The Hammond collection stuff is pretty good. This stuff is like next level. So Hammond collection is to the Beasts of the Mesozoic like GI Joe is or like a Hasbro action figure is to like Mythic Legions. Like they're similar in form and function, but when you sort of put them next to each other, one of them is just a far superior product. So that stuff's really, really cool. It was also really, really cool to talk to those guys about what they've got sort of coming down the road. They've actually got an announcement on Tuesday coming out, so stay tuned for that. I have a pretty good idea about what it is, but I'm excited for that announcement. They had a few new beasts, I guess, at the show. They had a baby mammoth. They had the Stegosaurus on display. It was just like a 3D printed sort of prototype. But both of them looked really, really good. The Stegosaurus is massive. It's so big. And I believe scheduled for Cyberzoic 2. Although I don't know when that's coming out, but Speaking Moisty says, I got Protoceratops and Albertosaurus. So I went with the intention of buying these. When they said they weren't going to have them, I was going to buy that Albertosaurus. But because they had these, I grabbed these instead. I still want that Albertosaurus though. That is a fantastic looking dinosaur. I'm just torn because I can't have all of them. I just don't have room for all of them. So the Allosaurus, the green Allosaurus repaint that they did looks really, really cool. So I'm kind of torn between the Albertosaurus and the Allosaurus. But anyway, that's for me to sort of mull over in my brain at a different time. Um, you guys don't have to sort of slog through that with me in my brain. Um, let's see here. What? But okay. So the topic or not topic, but like sort of what I wanted to chat about a little bit. This for today, this afternoon. Is just how many freaking Ninja Turtles we're getting. There's so many Ninja Turtles all of a sudden, and it's crazy because they're all good and they're all so different that I think it's just really, really cool how many versions of the Ninja Turtles we're getting, um, and like how different they are. I tend to err on the side of like the more normal ones, if that makes sense. So the Super 7 Ultimates Turtles that's sort of the line that I'm collecting. Um and I'm really really digging them. Um but these 2003 turtles from Super 7 look really really good. I'm excited by the idea of them more than I am excited by the turtles themselves. The 2003 cartoon I didn't get into. I haven't watched the whole thing. I don't have the same nostalgia for the 2003 turtles. I don't have the same connection to those designs. So it's cool that they're doing those, and I'm not gonna lie, like there is part of me that's sort of like, well, they're doing them all in one wave. Maybe I could just go all in on that wave and just kind of be done. Like just get that version of the turtles, like I have done with NECA, like I have done with like other things where like I just buy the turtles and then that's it. I don't need any more of the figures. I don't need more of the characters. But then I just know myself. I would have them and I wouldn't have anywhere to put them on the shelf and I wouldn't know what to do with them. But then JoyToy drops an absolute hammer and releases the JoyToy versions in what is it, like 4-inch scale, I guess, because it's not quite 1/18th scale. It's a little taller, but those look phenomenal. Um, I'm getting more 1/18th stuff, so I had to get those ones. So I pre-ordered the JoyToy Turtles. The 2003 Super 7 Ultimate Turtles, I'm very intrigued by, and I'm still on the fence. I don't know whether I'm gonna get them or not. We will see. Tune in next week where maybe I will have made a decision. Um, well, I have a little bit longer to make up my mind and potentially order because the pre-order on those closes on July 30th for the Super 7 2003 Turtles. So who knows? We'll see. Ray Pass says, "I'm hopping on those JoyToy Turtles." Yeah, me too. They're just too cool, and in that scale, I think they're just going to be really, really fun. I think at 1/18th scale, what I've kind of decided, like 1/18th, because I'm doing the Cyberzoic stuff. I got some JoyToy stuff. I've got some of the Star Wars vintage collection stuff, but I'm getting all of it just to sort of be one world, one sort of head canon where I'm gonna mix things a little bit more because it's new IPs, it's different IPs. It's like I'm not I'm not I'm not getting into 118 for like iconic characters from my childhood. I'm getting into 118 just because there's cool toys coming out in that scale. So um Speaking Moisty says, "I'm not a Turtles guy, but I get why people like them, and they had a huge impact on toys and culture." Speaking Moistly, are you getting the Turtles of Grayskull? I'm curious. I'm very curious who's getting those. I'm very curious whether it's Motu fans or whether it's Turtles fans, or whether it's both, or whether it's neither, and it's just like cool stuff. Lumix says, "Hey Adam, what got you back into collecting TMNT? Was watching one of your older videos where you say you weren't collecting TMNT, but obviously that changed." Uh, so honestly, what got me back into it? Um, it wasn't what got me back into collecting Ninja Turtles. I always had Ninja Turtles as a kid. Like I was born in '82. Um, And, like, G.I. Joe was around when I was younger, and Turtles was there, but I wasn't as into it, like, I was more into G.I. Joe, but I loved Ninja Turtles, I love those figures, I had a bunch. My neighbors had that, like, multiple neighbors, multiple friends, like, I think I played with Ninja Turtles with friends more than any other IP. G.I. Joe stuff, I used to play with G.I. Joe stuff by myself, so Turtles was, like, more of a shared, uh like, I guess, with some people. But I still love those designs, and I think Ninja Turtles is like pretty much second to none as far as like the villains and just the different characters and stuff like that. And then honestly, it was just the deeper I got into toy collecting, doing the AWOC stuff and just being really into anthropomorphic stuff. I got a couple Thundercats Ultimates. I and there was a couple of the turtles that popped up for cheap recently, um and I grabbed one or two just to sort of see and absolutely fell in love with them. Those Super 7 Ultimates, I don't people say whatever they want about them. I don't have any issue with the articulation or whatever. They just feel like the turtles that I know and love and remember, and so I really, really like those for that. I'm not a completist. I don't need all of them. I don't need every version of the turtles that comes out. I don't know the lore very well. I don't, it's just cool to get deeper into it. Um, but I do that with lots of stuff. Ray knows that I said I wasn't getting the Street Fighter stuff, and now I've got three figures on my desk. I've got Dalsum in box on the shelf over there. I've got Ryu because I was late, so I got to find Ryu. I'm hunting for M Bison, and I'll be picking up the other stuff going forward. So, um, yeah, as I said, I didn't get back into Ninja Turtles because it wasn't like something that I collected when I was younger. It's just I love the turtles, they're just really really fun. They're just really fun. So it's just a fun IP that I think is pretty easy to get into. So Red 5 says the best action IDW TMNT are going deep, but I don't trust the company. That company's fine for what it is. I bought those turtles, like the first version of the turtles that they did for my 8-year-old to just like have her own version of the turtles. And then the Mutant Mayhem ones came out, and we got those ones, and the Mutant Mayhem ones are better in ways, but not as good in other ways. We have the Playmates remakes of like the originals and the storage shell ones. Turtles is kind of like Masters of the Universe, I think, in that it appeals, like there's kind of something in there for everyone in terms of like everybody has a character that they love or like a design or whatever. They're just fun, they're just playful. And so a big part of me getting back into sort of turtles as an IP and sort of starting to collect turtles is the same as the Masters of the Universe stuff. It's just fun, and I can share it with my kids. So, speaking moistly, Last Ronin is a great story. It is a fantastic story. It is fantastic. I thought I might get into that line, the NECA Last Ronin stuff. I bought the first two, and I think I'm gonna sell them. I don't need them because I'm not gonna go any deeper in that line. But Red 5 says GameStop has all 2004 TMNT for pre-order. They're available through eCollectibles, which is where I would be getting them if I did get them. So I'm not worried about that. And eCollectibles has the JoyToy Turtles as well. The Ray Pass says that means you're getting them. Speaking Moisty says JoyToy makes really good figures. I have a few of their figures. I have a few of the like army builders. Actually, they're on a shelf just above the GI Joes, where I'm starting to sort of like build out my Cyberzoic 1/18th scale. So I have some of the 1/18th army builders from JoyToy, and then a couple of the like name characters, and then I got that werewolf guy as well because it's so awesome. It's just such a cool figure. I'm not doing the mechs though. I'm not doing the mechs because I will have enough, mounts and things like that with Cyberzoic. So I didn't want to go down that route. Lumix, I'm not a Motu guy, but went in on the Turtles of Grayskull. Just thought they looked cool. They do look really cool. I just can't collect everything. So, um, and Ray Pass says passed on that crossover. Hope whoever likes them thoroughly loves and enjoys them. It seems like everybody's that's buying them is really really digging them. So, speaking moistly, I got a bunch of JoyToy 40K Necrons. That whole not my thing, but like that whole line is really really cool. Ray Paz says the Fury TMNT are awesome, and Not Bebop is next. Check those out if you love the turtles. Those are great figures. I love those. Those turtles look really really good. But again, I can't collect everything, and those are a little bit too tangential as I said, I love the Ultimates because they feel like the toys that I remember. And for me, what I've realized, is that like every line is a little bit different. And for me, what I love about the Super 7 Ultimate TMNT line is that they feel like the toys. And I don't need cartoon accurate versions. I don't need comic book accurate versions. I just want I want the toys. And I've still got a list. Like I'm excited to get that Rat King. It's not, there's a couple details that they changed. I would have liked it to just be like a really, really accurate to the vintage Rat King. But I want like Walkabout, I want Dirtbag, I want a few there's like a handful. There's not many left from Super 7 or from like the vintage Playmates turtles that I still want. And there's lots that they've done that I don't need or want. So it's sort of a nice line because I can cherry pick and pick and choose. Um, let's see. Justin says JoyToy is expensive, but I'll wait for a sale. There can never be too much TMNT. I thought the loyal subjects did a good job with the action vinyls, super deformed turtles, and I wish they continued. Yeah, and I didn't grab those. Like I said, a little too tangential to what I'm sort of looking at. So, um, Lumix says I finally decided to try out Fury and grab not Donnie to go with my JoyToy Donnie. Can't bring myself to go all in on either, but had to grab a taste. Yeah, I did, and that was sort of where I thought I might be going with Turtles, was like, getting just the Turtles, but when I got the Super 7 Turtles and I had the NECA cartoon Turtles, and then I got the Last Ronin Turtles, and then I got a couple Playmates, like, I got that Playmates Last Ronin Turtle is actually kinda cool, but I wanna have more characters, and so the Super 7 ones, I think, are the ones that I'm gonna go with, so, Red 5, wish NECA cartoon was available in Canada. The NECA movie line seems done to me, but, we're getting Tatsu soon. Yeah, I mean, again, that's sort of like the movie line is a funny one because they don't have the character pool to draw from, so, like, once you have one of each, it's sort of like, "Okay." I got the turtles from the first movie, I got the turtles from the second movie, I got the turtles from the third movie. Like, who else you get? April, Casey, Kino, Shredder, Tatsu, Foot Soldiers, Splinter. I don't know. Like, there's just not there isn't the depth for those lines to like go on and on and on. Um, but that's what makes it so interesting that like with Super 7. So with Super 7, this is what I'm really fascinated about, and this is what I'm curious about. Um, moving into the 2003 Turtles, I'm curious how much they're gonna pull from the 2003 cartoon. Like, so we're getting all the turtles in the first wave of the 2003 Turtles, but I think they're just listing it as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Ultimates Wave 12. Which means that the Playmates accurate line is still there, like, it's the same line. Like, they're kind of treating the TMNT Ultimates the way that Mattel is sort of treating Masterverse, where there's lines within the line, which I think is interesting. I'm curious to see how these are gonna play with other Super 7 Ultimates. I'm curious to see, how these guys look next to, say, Scratch. Is this gonna feel like a different line? Are they gonna feel like the same line? Aesthetically, the style feels a little bit different to me. The 2000 aesthetic, that look was very different from what we got, all through the 80s, between the cartoon, between the toy line, all that kind of stuff. So it'll be interesting to me to see how that goes. The other thing that I'm very, very interested about and very, very curious to see is how the articulation stacks up next to the current articulation. As I said, I don't really have a huge issue with the articulation that Super 7 is doing with most of their ultimates. The single jointed knees, the single jointed elbows. Um, I don't have a problem with for the most part. Do I wish that they had crazy good articulation and they could hit, ninja poses? Sure. Do I want that for a Ninja Turtle line at the expense of the sculpt? No. And that's where I'm sort of like that's where I'm okay with the limited articulations because I think the sculpt would suffer. I genuinely think that, especially for turtles. The turtles have a hard shell on their back. If you articulate the shell, it's kind of weird. Like, how would you articulate the shell? I don't know. I don't know. Um, I'm that's part of the curiosity with these 2003 turtles. I'm curious to get them in hand. It's just whether or not I want to pay the price to get them in hand and experiment with them. And today, June 30th, 2024, the answer is no, but they look pretty cool, and I do like turtles. I could just get Donatello and sort of go from there. We'll see. I don't know. And Justin brings up a very good point. Now we have Mondo TMNT, which is awesome. It's like Transformers third party stuff. So many choices. I haven't even sort of discussed everything, right? Heat Boys Mecha TMNT. I got that Leo. Um, if times were different and mortgage rates weren't sort of the way that they are and sort of stuff like that, I may get all four of those turtles as well. Because the Mecha Leo is bonkers. It's absolutely bonkers. But again, it's so far removed from sort of anything that Turtles has sort of done before. And it's out of scale and sort of like what else does it go with and what shelf do you put it on? It's on a shelf right now that's sort of like an island of misfit toys for me, where it's like one ofs that don't really have a home. So they just all sort of live on their own island. So I don't know. I mean, and it's tough. You can't have everything. So you got to pick and choose. And then Heat Boy, so Donatello's my favorite, I've said that before. That Mecha Donatello looks phenomenal. It looks so good. Oh my goodness. That one's the hardest one to say no to. Um, but I haven't pre-ordered that one just yet, so we'll see. Red 5, if they succeed, I want a Hun. That would be a that would be a big figure though. Wouldn't it? It would have to be, I think. I'm curious to see how these are going to scale. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with, like I said, with some of the villains, with some of the other characters. Um, and then the question is with Super Seven, if they're doing the 2003 Turtles, would they do other version? Like, how far do they go with 2003 before they move on to what was it, 2012? Would they go to like the Netflix series? Would they do Mutant Mayhem Turtles? Like, how far can you go with these? I'm not sitting here trying to speculate. I'm not trying to like suggest that they're gonna make Mutant Mayhem Super Seven Ultimates. I just who knows? Maybe. Um, Ray Pass for that price point, I have to disagree. They should be able to pose. That's fair, and that's a criticism that I hear a lot. That is a criticism that I totally understand. Um, but I think with all due respect to you, Ray, I think it's partly missing the point of what Super 7 is trying to do. Um, I don't think that Super 7 is incapable of doing, you know, this level of articulation. I think it's a design choice. I think it's a they're choosing to make something that is more articulated than the vintage stuff, but still doesn't feel modern. I truly believe that's a choice. And I'm here for it. I like what they're doing. Um, so yeah, I get the argument. I get that comment that people make all the time, and I totally understand it. Um, but I just think that's the choice that they're making. So, every brand, every line has to decide what they want to do and sort of how they want to do it. They're all gonna do um what they like, right? Now there are weird ones. There's weird exceptions to that, right? Black Series is one where you kind of go, okay, Hasbro is doing double jointed knees and elbows on just about everything else that they do. Why not Star Wars? And I've heard rumors. I've never seen anywhere that this has been confirmed, but I've heard rumors that that's like a mandate from like Lucasfilm, that they're like, what we want is like single jointed, and it's weird, but maybe my speculation is purely speculation, is that like maybe Lucasfilm has a deal with Bandai that says we'll only pay for the Star Wars license if no one else is able to do double jointed knees and elbows. I don't know. It would have to be something like that because it doesn't make any sense. Um. Anyway, what's Red 5? They said it's a soft plastic. What? I missed that. What is a soft plastic? Um. You're sounding a little like Robo, talking yourself in and out of buying them. I do that all the time. The list of things that I want but I don't buy is even longer than the list of things that I do buy. And that's the thing, is that I just can't have everything. As Lumix points out, 1,000 plus to get all of the Heat Boys figures. That's tough. That's when you objectively look at that, you go, yeah, I don't know if that makes sense. This is absolutely true. There are too many. You can't have everything. So then it's a matter of like, what are you gonna get? What aren't you gonna get? Um, I really want those Super 7 Richard Scary Busy Town reaction figures. And I was talking to the Super 7 guys at Joe Fest. Um, and somebody at Super 7 even suggested that the possibility of Super 7 Ultimates Richard Scary Busy Town figures is not off the table, and I did not wanna hear that. But then I was sort of discussing with some other people. I think reaction for Richard Scary Busy Town, that's perfect because it still looks and feels like a kid's toy, with, like, 4 or 5 POA. It's small enough that, you can store it, or you can kinda tuck it away, and you're not gonna worry about it, and price point wise, it's not crazy. So, and apparently they've got multiple waves planned for both for reaction for that. So, man, I can't collect everything, but there's definitely a lot of stuff that I want. Um, Jada, this level of articulation with this brand, it's bonkers. It really is bonkers. I have suspicions about sort of how they can do it, and sort of what makes them able to do it. Um, but it's purely speculation based on literally on just putting two and two together and then formulating my own sort of opinion. Um, and so I'm not going to sort of like speculate or whatever, but good for them. I mean, to get these figures out at the price point that they're hitting, good for them. These things are fantastic. And I've heard that the Mega Man line is great. Chester Cheetah is awesome. They're absolutely killing it right now. I would love to have some conversations with the Jada guys just to figure out how the heck they're doing it. Um, because yeah, at 25 US, like 35 Canadian, the Jada Street Fighter stuff is bonkers. Um, Let's see. Oh, the Red 5 said the 2003 Super 7 shells are soft. Ugh. Ah, oh man, do I need to order the turtles? Dang it. Dang it. That would make them really, really cool. Like if they had like waist articulation, but it didn't break up the sculpt. Oh man, I can't wait to see those things. Um anyway. Let's see. Ray Pass says they do kill it. Jada's my favorite. No offense. No offense taken. I mean, it's I'll tell you this right now. My job and what I'm good at is not taking offense. I take no offense to anything that people say. I do take exception to what people say sometimes about, different brands and different lines and when people sort of speculate and don't frame it as an opinion or as speculative. I take exception to that, but I'm not offended. Toys are fun. And you're never gonna offend me when it's toy related. Um, Amanda says you don't need it. Probably doesn't even really know what we're talking about. She's probably not watching or paying attention. She probably just hears me mulling over the idea of buying something and just says that I don't need it. And she's absolutely right. I don't need any of this. So we'll see. Um, I got time if I want to. I have time to consider the pre-order, and then it might just be an in-stock thing. I might wait till they show up and see other people's reviews first. But dang, those 2003 turtles look pretty cool. I think this video was just me sort of wanting to vocalize my my thoughts on whether or not I should buy those dang turtles. Ray says she's preemptively striking you. Yeah, 100%. Um, yeah, are you watching? I don't know if you're watching or not. You might be watching. Maybe you're watching, maybe you're not. I don't know. Um, she says, "Yeah, I just hear you talking." She's just on the other side of the door. The door's right here. She's just on the other side of the door. So she could just watch it on silent and just comment when she hears me say things that she doesn't like, which is perfect. It's like having she's my Jiminy Cricket. Um and I will say this, like you hear guys sort of joking about like, "Oh, I hope my wife never finds out about this." Man, that's too bad. She knows everything that I buy. The office is here. The kids get to see it. The kids get to play with most of it. She gets to see what I'm buying. I'm not hiding anything. So, um, it works. I'm not spending beyond my means, and I'm not buying ridiculous amounts of anything anymore. But um, this I heard that telltale pause. Yeah, exactly. It's one way to do it, speaking moistly. I don't have a wife anymore, so no worries. Um, yeah, different scenarios for different people. I still like my wife, so I hope to never I hope that toys never sort of put me on the wrong side of my wife. So Red 5 says my wife said the same when I bought up 2003 TMNT. Yeah, exactly. But you mean in 2003? You mean when they were like on the shelves? Um, I presume. But anyway. All right, we are at 55 minutes. Without visuals, I kind of think an hour it works. I wish I could figure out why these visuals don't work and why they work sometimes and other times they don't at all. Although they worked last time, and I know why it worked last time. So I think I have I think I figured out why visuals do work and don't work at different times. So going forward, I just have to be mindful of that. So um yeah. Questions, comments, what do you guys want to talk about? Anything that I missed? You want to know anything about Joe Fest? You want to is there something is there a Ninja Turtle line or sort of brand doing Ninja Turtles that I didn't mention, that you're into that you think is cool, let me know. Let's see. Let's see. What's this? Ray says, "I'm curious about one thing you said." Go on. What one thing were you curious about? Speaking moistly, I'm all about Motu. Fair enough. Do you get like all the different stuff? Are you doing Mondo? Do you do the Mondo Motu stuff? Um Ray Paz, who makes commentary about things that acts like it's facts? Tons of people do. I think tons of people. I mean, I'm probably guilty of doing it from time to time too. Just sort of not framing, not sort of not initiating something that I'm saying by saying this is just my opinion. Um, it's yeah. I so Ray, I will say this. You say I feel almost all toy YouTubers speculate. We do. We absolutely do. But there's like different there's different ways to like frame your speculation. You know what I mean? Like there's well-informed speculation where you have information at hand that sort of leads you to um what is still ultimately an assumption unless you have information. Um but there's also people that say like this is coming and then it doesn't. And then, you know, if that makes sense. Like, there's just different ways that you can present it. Um, and as I said, like, I have an idea of how Jada Toys can make a figure that they make at the price point versus, why Super 7 is 55. But at the end of the day, like, I don't know. So I don't want to, like, say, this is why this and this is how this happens. If I'm not directly involved, I'm certainly not going to sort of make any claims about facts and stuff like that. We all speculate because we all want to speculate, right? I'll say, "Oh, I think they might do something like this based on X, Y, and Z." Um, but I'm not going to be like, they're definitely going to make this because X, Y, and Z. If that makes sense, you know what I mean? Like, there's just a way to frame it where you're not sort of I don't know. I'm trying to think of like the term for it, but it's like if something's not a fact, you should say that it's not a fact. You should say I'm just speculating. Wouldn't it be great if whatever? Um, but I think, and like I said, I'm sure I'm guilty of this as well. There's times where I'll say, oh, this is definitely they'll totally do this, but not knowing it. I don't know the company. I don't know what they've got planned, what they're allowed to make, on and on and on. So anyway, I'm just yeah. Um, let's see. Um, yeah, stating it as a fact. Yeah, it's hard though. I mean, sometimes we also think that we like myself included. There's times where like I think I know something because of where I've heard it being a reliable source, and then it turns out not to be right. So, like, the end of the day, until the figure's like in our hands, all of it's speculative anyway. So, anyway, enough about that. That's not interesting. People want to talk about toys. People want to see toys. I wanted to show you guys more toys. I wanted to show you more pictures from Joe Fest and more pictures of these cool Ninja Turtles. But I couldn't because StreamYard said no. But anyway, that's all I got today. I will be back next week. As I said right at the beginning, there's lots of cool toy news coming from what I've heard from people. That's a fact. I can say factually, there's a lot of cool stuff coming. But some stuff that's not, some stuff that's not sort of ready to be shared with the public. But oh man, we living in a golden age of toys. Let's see. Red 5, I hope NECA does the new Turtles from the new Last Ronin series. Uh, Yeah, me too. I think I could be on board for that. I think I could be on board for that. You're talking about the turtles that were babies at the end of Last Ronin, I think, the ones that are like now grown up in the what's it called, Last Ronin Revolution or something like that. That will be cool, and and I want to see that happen because I want, and I want to see other IPs do that. I want to see other IPs. It's sad because other IPs have tried to do that and sort of met with, and it still remains to be seen whether the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fandom accepts those new turtles because it's still pretty new. But it'll be interesting to see. GI Joe's tried to do it with GI Joe. What was it called? Renegades. They also had a really great comic book. That was just called GI Joe, but in the trade, I think they changed the name. A World on Fire, which was fantastic in my opinion. But not everybody wants that. So, what can you do, I guess? I'm excited for the new IPs. I'm excited for Cyberzoic. I'm excited for Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. I'm excited for the stuff that Fresh Monkey Fiction is doing, Delta 17 is doing, on and on and on and on. There's just so much cool stuff out there. But I like to see the old IPs hang on because I think there's still value there. But anyway. That's all I got. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure. I always enjoy talking toys with you guys. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you guys for being in the chat. It certainly makes not having visuals easier when I can sort of go back and forth with you guys. So that's always fun. If you're watching the replay, I can't believe you made it this far without visuals. Anyways, until next time, guys. Bye-bye.